Hi folks, how you doing? Good to have you along. Yeah, what am I doing? Whoops. What am I doing? I'm just getting some clay ready because I wanted to make some a few larger flan dishes, fairly large and not very a sort of inch or two side to them. I came across some clay earlier which I found to be too hard to throw with. Do you ever have any clay in your studio? You know, it gets put to one side, it gets wrapped up and left, and you know, you come back to it and you think, oh, I'll use that, you know, someday, but that day never seems to arrive. Anyway, well, that day did arrive today. In the case of this lump of clay, anyway. And it was too hard to use. So what do you do when you have clay that's too hard to use? You know, you think to yourself, well, what should I do with it? I can't wedge it, it's too hard. So I've showed you this before, but I'll show it to you again. You get your lump of clay and you form it into a nice square block like that, you see? Alright, then you indent it with your fist so that it sinks in the middle. Yeah? Let's put the overhead light on. Sorry, I didn't put the overhead lights on. Maybe that'll make some difference. Okay, so it's sunk in the middle, and then you take an instrument such as a one of these, a chopstick. Okay, and you put lots of holes in it like that, and then on a flat surface you put it inside a bag like this. All right, put it inside a bag, and then take some water, and you pour the water into all of those holes. Okay, and then you wrap it up. This is what you can use those horrible supermarket bags that we get given so readily. Alright, so you wrap it up in a little parcel like that, seal it, and you just put it to one side, and you can put it to one side over here and leave it, forget it. Leave it for a few days, alright, and after a few days you can come back and you'll find that it's in a workable state. You can use it. Yes, sir. So, well, what I'm actually about to do here on the wheel is I want to make a large flan dish. So I've got myself my piece of, I keep a record of these things just to, you know. So we've got that handy. So I will, when I've set it up and I'm happy with it, I will then take down the measurements. But what I'm actually going to start with today is 3.5 pounds of clay. Let's go down on the wheelhead where the action is. Yes, sir. So let's just incline this. I don't know, what do you think of the camera angle these days? Somebody give me some feedback. You like it like this, from above slightly? Alright, there it is. We'll start there anyway, maybe we'll move in for a bit of detail as we go. As is our custom. As is our custom, yes. So, just adjust the fire so it's pointing at me. I want to keep warm. What's the temperature? It's actually not too bad. It's about 56 degrees in here. That's okay. For working, I find that is fine. All right. So, remember I said to you the other day about getting your lump of clay, and if you've got larger lumps like this, it's not a bad idea to individually knead them. So knead them up into a cone, okay? So the bottom is slightly domed like that, okay? Now you want that. What you don't want is a lump of clay with crease lines in it like this, you know? And then if you smack that down on the wheel head like that, you'll trap air in there. So, as I say, it's better to have this nice and smooth on the base of your lump, okay? And have it dome shaped, so that when you hit it down on the wheel head, it will hit first in the middle of the lump, okay? And then as the weight of the lump goes down on the wheel head, the rest of it will flatten out and won't trap air. Okay. Comme ça. So how have you all been getting on with your projects? I hope you've been practicing. Practicing and persevering. That's the thing, isn't it? Sometimes it's not so easy to practice, is it? We're human. We don't always feel like more practice. Okay. So I've got here some warmish water, or at least it was warm. Let's see, what tools have we got? I've got my wire. Okay, that's good. Up here I've got a throwing stick. Just wet your tools, get any dry clay off them before you start. Never a bad idea. We've got here oh no, it's up here. My sponge on a stick. A sponge on a stick is a very useful thing to have. Now when I started throwing, I never had actually a sponge on a stick at all. I didn't have a sponge on a stick for a long time actually. I just wanted to grab a little bit of sponge to show you. Can't find one here, but anyway, doesn't matter. Maybe you're a person that doesn't use a sponge on a stick, but you really make such a difference having a sponge on a stick, because you can then get down into the bottom of your pot and get the water out. If you don't have a sponge on a stick, you've got to get the sponge, haven't you? And you've got to shrivel your hand to get your hand to go down, and then you've got to take your hand right the way down to the bottom of the pot. What happens to the top of the pot? Usually, the wideness of your hand here widens the top of the pot, doesn't it? So then after you've sponged, you then got to straighten it out again. Well, if you use a sponge on a stick, you don't have any of that bother, and you can get the water out fine without distorting the pot. And if you're doing a wide bowl shape, well, it doesn't matter. You just hold it like a normal sponge, you see, like that, and take the water out. You can get these on our website, by the way, SimonLeachPottery.com. We sell sponges on sticks. And a word about sponges on sticks: a lot of sponges on sticks that I've seen are not, I don't think they're really, I don't know, there seem to be a lot of pottery tools out there that don't seem to have been designed by potters at all. But you don't want it too wide here, alright? Plus you need to have a little bit of sponginess there like that, you see, to absorb the water at the base of the pot. Right? You want to have a bit of give there, don't you? You see what I'm doing with a sponge? A bit of give. You need that. A lot of sponges on sticks I've seen don't have much give. In fact, all they have is an unforgiving screw head, which isn't much good. Anyway, enough of that. But yeah, you can find them on our website if you want if you want a sponge on a stick. And if you haven't got one, I highly recommend you do get one. Okay, so yes, hang on a sec. I'm just going to clean my mirror so I can see where I'm going. Another thing is a good thing to have, of course, is a mirror, isn't it? You've heard me say that a million times. All right, let's get on with this. We're going to make a wide flan dish with a raised edge, with a raised wall. So let's go. A little bit of coning up, you know, is never a bad idea. Just to align those platelets, you know. And then center it down. Pushing it down, flattening it out, okay. It's helpful actually for shapes that are flat, i.e. plates, maybe some kind of large flat lids, flan dishes, anything like that. You really don't want to have clay that's too hard, because you know there's quite a lot of force that you need to impart to push that clay out. And if the clay is too stiff, well, you don't need me to tell you. If it's too stiff, you know, it's just hard work. Okay, I'm going to go down now and just going to establish, discover, find, guess the base thickness. I'm going to use my needle tool though to take a measurement, and that's actually quite important when you are involved in doing a wide flat shape, because you don't want to use up a load of excess clay because your base is too thick, because you know you'll use up a lot of extra clay. If you've just got your clay, say, you know, you might think, oh well, what's 1/8 of an inch, Simon? It doesn't matter. Yeah, but you think 1/8 of an inch over the big large area like that, that could amount to ½ pound, couldn't it? See, the wider you go, the more necessary it is to be a bit more accurate with your base thickness. Now I just measured it then, and it was maybe a fraction on the thick side, so I'm going to do it again. Well, that's giving me now 1/4 of an inch. It's about okay. So now I'm going to start to push the clay across. Now you find when you push clay across, it begins to gather up on itself. You see what's happening here, you see? You get this, and if you're not careful, you get like a double wall forming. So you don't want that really, you want to avoid that. So now I'm employing a slightly different technique here. I'm slightly, rather than pushing it, I'm pulling it, you see? Now that can be actually largely down to the clay hardness. It may be necessary to do that. So I'm compressing the base and then pushing the clay out, all at the same time. I'm going to take another measurement. Yeah, we're good. It always surprises me when I make plates or wide shapes like this, how much clay you actually need. You know, you can get rid of like 4 pounds of clay quite readily. quite readily, especially if the base is too thick. So there we are. I'm feeling now I'm pretty much out to the what I'm going to do now is concentrate on the wall here. Maybe why don't we see if I can bring the camera down so you get a bit of a little bit more of a sideways slant on it instead of such a view from the helicopter above. See if we can get that camera down a bit. Bear with me folks, because I'm going to have to drop it down on its legs to get that. Down we come. I just want you to see the sideways. Yeah, maybe that'll do. Oh yes. Ooh, it looks a bit cockeyed, doesn't it? Hang on, bring that down like that. And like that. Okay, how's that looking? Ooh, yeah, alright. Okie dokie, right, let's take it from there. Okay. Let's grab my ruler. We're going to need to take a measurement in a moment. And another tool I'm going to use have handy is one of these. So we've got him out. Now you do try to get this here flat, okay, without going down into grooves or furrows. We're just going to lift this up now. I like this to be slightly V-shaped, you see. Now another thing, watch your speed, you don't want to be going too fast. Alright. Now before we roll the rim, we're going to make sure that the rim here is really nice and slippery, because there's nothing worse than hitting a dry patch just when you're in the middle of rolling, because then it'll send it all cockeyed, won't it? Okay, so we're going to hold my finger there, pull the clay over the finger like that. Okay, over the index finger, just pull it over. Alright, then we're going to get it and we're going to push it down. And basically what we do is we fold it over onto itself. We call it a rolled rim, and it is rolled, but it's also folded. But we make it nice and round, you see. Okay, there you go. Right. We're going to take our throwing stick, clean it right off there, and we are going to put in a bevel under. Now, because of the tray here, it's slightly awkward for me to work that, but we've done it, I think. Okay. Right, what next? What next indeed? I said I was going to use that. And that is sometimes something one can use just to going from the centre to the outside, getting rid of the slurry a little bit, and just cleaning it up, you know. Yes, sir. Right. Put that back. Put your tools back in specific places Don't be random about where you put your tools. Put your tools back in the same place. Always put the leather on the side of your pot. You know, put things back in the same spot, and then you'll find that as you work, you will be a lot more efficient, because you won't have to think or look for the given tool. It will be there because you put it back there the last time, and it has its own place and no other tools around. Okay, we're going to take the leather, hold it in the left hand like that, drape it over the rim, and with this thumb close in on the leather like that, and just pinch it between the index finger. You know what, you need a little bit of water to leather sometimes, so don't make sure the leather has got enough water on it. Okay, so we're just holding that to the rim like that. Gently. Gently is the name of the game with the leather, folks, okay? None of this two-handed work, okay? See people like this pushing down on the edge of their pots. It's not a good idea. Right, that's it. Now what I've got to do is we're going to take some measurements here, because that is reading 11 and a half in width, and 2 1/8. 2 1/8. Thickness there. You don't want to make these things too thin in the base, by the way. Now this is where having only a 12-inch wire can be a bit, you know, for normal throwing. Now with this one, I'm just going to pull him across. I'm not even going to have a wheel going around, I'm just going to go straight under. You need to keep it reasonably taut and keep it down. What happens with a wire on a wide shape like that, and you pull it, the wire in the middle rides up, it comes up, you see. A wire, when you pull it across, doesn't just come straight, it will bow up slightly in the middle, slightly. Something to bear in mind for, you know, for the base thickness, that of course, remembering that when you wire it off, you're actually going to lose a little bit of that thickness. Okay, well, I obviously I can't, I'm not going to, I'm just going to lift the whole thing, if I can get him off the wheel. Sometimes you need to put something underneath it just to help it. Okay folks, so there it is, you can see it from the sideways profile. Alright, it's a flan dish, an open broad dish. Well, you can see the uses a pot like that can have, can't you? Has a lot of uses, doesn't it? So we'll put that over there. So have a go at bring this back up a touch. have a go at a flan dish. Bit more of a challenge, a little bit more clay you've got to, and don't have the clay too hard. And basically your main work in this is getting a nice flat base, get a nice even thickness, okay? Alright, the finishing off here on the edge is not such a big deal, just lifting up a little bit of clay here, rolling the rim. You don't have to roll a rim, I mean that's optional. I roll a rim because it gives a nice finishing off, doesn't it, to the side of the pot. It's practical. It also gives you the sense, when you're lifting the pot, it gives you a sense of confidence because of the extra thickness that you've got right there at the top on the lip. And of course, being a little bit more thicker there means it's a little bit more durable in practical use. Okay, well that's all from me. Thanks for joining me, and join us again. Go to our website, simonleachpottery.com. Keep practicing. See you soon. Bye bye.